Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Godzilla Podcast. Well, there's a very good interview or a link that's associated with IGN.com where the interviewee was able to talk with several personnel key to the Godzilla 2014 film. They're from Bryan Cranston and then also from Gareth Edwards and even Thomas Tull, who remains the main head guy for Legendary Pictures. And I'll post a link to it at the bottom below, so that way you can read the whole section, the entire article on there. And I'll probably produce several videos just to talk about some of the subjects that were discussed in this particular article. But one of the key things that stood out from that link is the fact that there may be a chance, albeit remotely, but there may be a chance that the word Godzilla may never be used within the entire film at all. And this is actually coming from the main man himself, Gareth Edwards. This is the direct quote from him within the new IGN article. He said, "For a long time, we liked the idea of never ever saying his name. We had a million ideas of how you could say that name, and it might be that one of them ends up in the movie. We're still playing with a couple of them, but I think it's just as good to never say his name out loud. We're going to have it on every single poster and every single everywhere. There's something more ethereal about a person you don't really label. It's so obvious to say, it's Godzilla. So how do you talk about this thing? Is it a thing? Is it a creature? Is it a monster? Is it an organism? Is it an animal?" And we kind of use all those and wait for the right moment to use the actual name gag. And then he references Man of Steel. And the way they put it, he said, "I saw Man of Steel last night and thought they were quite clever about it." So sure enough, it's a good point that with the reference to the Man of Steel, because when one thinks about it, the word Superman, I believe, was only used once within the film. And even then, the way it was shoot in was one of the, I guess, military officers just stating that's what they're what they're calling him now. And then that was it. It wasn't really referenced anywhere else. So they're probably going to go with that aspect. I know it's going to sound weird, but it could work. The fact that Godzilla may not have his name uttered within the entire film. But again, the way that we have him listed within all the advertising, within all the marketing, it's obvious that this won't really affect much. But when one thinks about it, they step outside the box. They realize that, wow, having a Godzilla movie without the name Godzilla uttered in there could work, and it couldn't work. It remains to be seen. I think most likely, again, they will find a way to have the word Godzilla uttered. Maybe it'll be one of those things where somebody, an elder person, talks about legends of a monster named Godzilla, that kind of stuff. So that way, it still stays hyper realistic, like the way the film wants to go. And then at the same time, they kind of introduce a way to utter the name Godzilla without somebody, like a scene where they're just coming up with names. In other words, like saying, "What should we call him? I know, let's call him Godzilla." That would be too goofy. But instead, if it was a form of mythology, some kind of legend passed down throughout the ages, and then that some elder person says it, I think that would be the best way on there. So what do you guys think? Is this going to work? Do we have Godzilla? The name, if it's not uttered in the film, will it still work? Share your comments, share your thoughts below. And when one thinks about it, a really good example is in Spider-Man 3, Venom, who was, of course, if not the main villain, well, at least the side villain within the film. His name was never uttered, but nobody really cared. Obviously everybody knew that it was Venom within the film. And yet, with the name never being mentioned, it never stood out. So it can work. So, alright, everybody. Thanks as always. Take care. Bye.